So welcome everyone to our last WA Qlik user group in this year. Some people managed to come. Thank you for that, especially Sebastian. You've been waited for a long time to come for this event due to COVID most of the times. So we also have a number of people joined us online, and we are recording this session. So everyone who would like to see it would be able to see it. Let's see what agenda is today. So welcome is currently happening, and then Sebastian and I believe Clint will join us. Neville will join us online to share latest news from Qlik. Then Craig Harper will share the tale of Qlik upgrade at scale, and after that, Paulo and Guilherme will show us what can be done with Infinity and Qlik, how we can work smarter with that, and then it would be me for the final presentation, how to use outer sets with Qlik. So the really nice new feature. Great. So Sebastian, over to you. Please. Oops. Sorry. Here.
So hi everyone. It's good to be here in Perth. It's been a while. So looking forward to having some good conversations with people following on from today's user group. We spent the last couple of user groups chatting about integration and sharing, particularly with the talent acquisition, what's new there. So we thought we'd bring it back to analytics today. So we've got Nabil on the line who's going to share some of the recent advancements around the platform, and also what's down the pipe, particularly in there's some cool things around visualizations to share as well. So I'll pass over to Nabil. Thanks, Nabil.
Stop sharing. Oh, he already good.
Great. Yeah. Thank you, Sebastian. All right, here we go. Yes, we've got some really interesting roadmap updates for you. We'll be looking at some short-term items that are coming soon, and one of them, the key one, is coming to client managed as well. So that will be interesting for those of you who are not on cloud yet. So just to begin, legal disclaimer, what we're going to show you is roadmap, so it is subject to change. The timelines may change. We're going to share what it looks like at the moment. All right, so Seb mentioned you've already heard of how Talent is now a Qlik company. A lot of the work we're doing right now is involving this integration. And this is exciting because it's expanding what Qlik Cloud will offer to our customers. So the key here is we are looking across the entire data pipeline. So you'll see in Qlik Cloud solutions, not just around analytics. We already have data integration is there. You also start to see more data quality in there. That's really what Qlik's future is going forward, looking across these three key areas where we are a leader according to the Gartner Magic Quadrant: data integration, data quality, and analytics. But today we're going to hone in on some very specific updates that we've been delivering. So while we're working on the more strategic updates and what we're doing with the company as a whole, R&D have been chipping away at visualizations as well. So you will have seen new styling options come in. So these are some of the recent updates. Now, instead of just going to slides, I'm going to switch over to Qlik itself, Qlik Cloud in this case. But a lot of these updates are making their way to Qlik Sense Client Managed, right? The on-premise version of Qlik Sense. And if I'll go into the app shortly, but I can't go into detail because of timing constraints. If you want to go and have a play with it, this is where you get hold of it. At demos.qlik.com, if you log in, you can get the What's New app. We keep updating it with every major release, and you can download it and use it on your own environment. For now, I'm going to run it here in my Qlik Cloud tenant. And what you get in this app is an update around the 3 latest major releases. With Qlik Cloud, it's a lot more fluid because we're releasing things monthly, but we still categorize them in like a major release kind of update. So we've got November, August, and May in here. So let's just touch on some of the items which I found quite interesting, which customers are telling me are very useful. Well, one of my favorites is this new table object, which is now available in the visualization bundle. And the original table object is still there, but this gives you a few more options, like you can have this chart exploration, the way we used to do it in Qlik View, where a user, as they're looking at this table, can decide to take out certain dimensions or measures or add them. They can rearrange them and so on. They can sort the columns. So it gives you another object to work with. It's got nice formatting options. And what we're about to launch shortly also is something many customers have asked for, is when you export a table to PDF, right now it just gives you your existing view, like a single page. This new table object will be able to handle multiple pages of data, right? So it'll download more than what's just being displayed on the screen. So that's an upcoming update as well. Right, so this app is at this level of granularity. If you read through all these updates, that's what it's telling us. This is what the table object does. It's new. It came in May. And you'll see things like we've been updating styling options, like how do you put a custom background in a chart or even make it transparent. We've got a new text object coming. This is also pretty cool because it gives you a rich text object, opens up much more possibilities and how you style things, like you can even create HTML tables in here. So all of this is aimed at giving users, developers especially, and app authors that power that we kind of let go of as we move to Qlik Sense. When we initially moved to Qlik Sense, it became you get a lot more self-service, a lot more ease of use, but less capability in terms of how you can tweak things. And now all of those capabilities are coming back into the product, right? All the way to styling KPI objects in all kind of weird ways. These are existing capabilities now on Qlik Cloud. All right, so maybe I'll touch on, there's one more I wanted to touch on. We'll leave it. So if you want to go into detail, you can get hold of this app and have a play with it. The next thing I want to touch on is something that's coming up next. So this is shortly about to be released. It's internally in Qlik. We've been testing it out and we're quite excited about it. It's called the layout object. Not sure if any of you have heard of it. The layout object will take away the restrictions you have when using a grid in a Qlik Sense sheet, right? So this will allow you to have multiple layers of objects. What you're seeing here is a layout object with this panel, and there's another one on top of it. You can set up show and hide conditions and things like that. So it's optional, of course. You still get the standard Qlik Sense experience, but you can also do interesting things like I'm going to show you now. So this is a standard Qlik Sense sheet built using the way we generally do things. And I've taken that sheet and reimagined it using a layout object. So this panel here is the layout object. We'll go in and see how we use it actually. But in the object, there's a chart you're seeing right now. There's some buttons here. There's an indicator, the way you see on websites, right? So it's a card kind of layout. You're seeing if I push this arrow, I get to a new view. It's actually just using show and hide conditions to show these two charts and hide the scatter plot, right? So there are multiple objects in the layout container and they're overlapping with each other, and you're free to display them and arrange them in any way you like, right? So again, this gives our app authors a lot of power in what a sheet in Qlik Sense looks like. Now, if I go into edit mode, I can show you what the layout container looks like. So this is the container. You can see in there's a lot of different things, and basically it's just a container, and in there you can decide, you can drag things around and change the height and width and so on. But you can also set up the show and hide conditions, and this is where things get interesting. Like, for example, I'm only going to show this chart when a variable has a certain value, and that's controlled by these arrows. right? So this object will be available very soon in the dashboard bundle, right? So it'll first come on Qlik Cloud, but we're also planning to release this on Qlik Sense Client Managed. All right, so this is just one example. It's not the prettiest one, but we are working on building more demos as we launch this. So this is another app you might have seen before, standard KPI kind of dashboard. This is how it's been reimagined into using the layout object, right? So even these fonts can be controlled, and the styling options, these are on the side. We've been adding these capabilities, and then together with the layout object, it gives you the power to build those web, the web design kind of look and feel in a standard Qlik Sense sheet. Just while we're here, though, I might mention this one. This is a new object we also released called Natural Language Insights. So it generates text based on the charts on the sheet. So it's part of our augmented analytics capability, the Insight Advisor. I can plug in this object here, tell it which charts to generate the text on, and it'll generate some commentary around it as well. So going back to the layout objects and the chart properties we've updated really opens up the breadth of what you can do in Qlik. So these are all standard Qlik charts here. You can even make them look like something from the 90s or a book or something. It's all using chart properties and the layout object. And just to give you some more examples, this is what internally people have been trying out. So that's the one I was showing you. This opens up that, in general web design principles you see in most websites, when they're showing you data, there'll be like 3 columns or 5 columns of data. You can flip between them. You can start to implement those kind of views in a Qlik Sense dashboard using this capability. Any questions before we move on to the next one?
Yes, one question. That was the most popular question at Qlik Partner Ambassador Meetup in Lund.
Right.
Where is Rainbow Borders?
Rainbow what, sorry?
Rainbow borders, like QlikView
Borders.
once, the QlikView once had this feature to have rainbow borders around the all objects, and everyone was wondering why. So that's why now everyone is joking, okay, where they are, why they're not still here. But that is fine. That was just joke.
Yeah. I think they're somewhere with the 3D pie charts.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. The same.
So you've got this demo app for the November release, is that right?
This is cloud, I believe.
Okay. Do you have similar demos going back through past versions?
But actually it says November. Yeah.
Yeah, so the What's New app you'll find here, it shows the last 3 releases, and we keep updating it. So if you're looking for an older one, I can give it to you if you drop us an email. But generally, the What's New app will cover the latest 3 releases. Yeah, but the layout object is not in there yet, because What's New only covers what we've released. This is still roadmap.
Yes, and I have seen the attempt, Patrick, one of the Patricks shown us that we would be able to move several objects at once, which is a nice thing, because I don't know how about you, but it is sometimes pain to reorder everything on the screen.
Yeah.
So,
yep, this will give
any
you...
other questions? Yeah. This will give us a lot. Layout object looks very promising.
Cool. All right, let's keep going because we got a few more minutes. So I might share these slides with you. There's quite a few links here around visualization tips and tricks, things you might not know you can do in Qlik Sense, because we keep updating the capability. So there's some interesting links here if you want to go and have a look and think of ideas to improve your own applications. So the next thing, yep,
we will ask. Craig just asked if we can have this presentation pack sent to me, and I will just share it with everybody.
Sure.
Okay.
Yep, we can do
Great.
that.
Thank you, Bill.
All right. So the next thing we want to touch on is enterprise reporting. So with Client Manage, you already have Inphinity, which is a great capability. Cloud has been catching up to that, right? So we released PowerPoint reports earlier this year. The next thing that is coming up soon is, again, quite exciting, is called tabular reporting. So this is going to first release an Office 365 plugin for Excel. That's the first launch, which means you can then create templates in Excel, either on the web or on desktop, but it has to be Office 365, using Qlik Cloud applications. So again, this is currently in internal testing and in the early access program. So I'll go and show you what this looks like. So let me just escape that and go back here. Okay, so this is a standard Excel file, Office 365, and you'll see up here on my toolbar, I've got this plugin. So if you're using Qlik Cloud, you'll have, and your enterprise wants to use this capability, you'll be able to add this plugin into Excel. Okay, so this plugin connects to your tenant, and from there you can start to use different apps on the tenant. And much like Inphinity, if you're familiar with that, you can use tables of data, you can use charts, and you can also use variables and expressions and so on, right, from your applications. So for example, if you want to use this chart, you can go in here, you can add an image. So that's what I've done here. It links the data to the application. Okay, so based on the tables and the charts, we can start to build a report, either using charts coming from Qlik and also using standard Excel capability, right? So this is an Excel table here, but the data in it will be populated using what's this particular, let's click on this again, this particular field, right? So we've added different, this is actually a table. If I double click, it'll come up. There we go. So this is a table of data coming from a tree map object. It's actually a chart, but it's going to turn into a table of data. And we've got these properties around. Do you want to keep source format and so on? You can do the formatting in Excel. You can apply the native expressions in Excel as well. It'll all work fine. So I'll generate this report and show you what it looks like. Right, so you can create multi-tab Excel reports here. We're starting with Excel. The plan is to add more options as we go along. So with this now, I can just generate a preview for in this case, and that will populate these tables, refresh these charts, and generate an Excel file for me. Okay, so there we go. It's coming up now. Let's open that file. There we go. So this is the file generated. The chart is refreshed at the point the file is generated. And you can see all the data has been populated. It's got the Excel formatting applied on this column and things like that, right? So it's a great capability. Where it becomes really enterprise level is when we add this other addition component, which is coming together with the Excel plugin, which is the ability to manage report tasks within Qlik Cloud. So this is a standard app. This is the app I was using to build that report. In here, what will be coming up next is this ability to create report distribution tasks and manage them. So sorry, just got to sign in again. Oh. Right, there we go. So that's my report task. You can also do things like, again, the people who are familiar with Inphinity will know about this. You can add filters based on dynamic selections, variables. You can add groups of recipients, and you can use templates. So the Excel file I was showing you originally, that's what the template is. You just upload that. And with that, you can create these reporting tasks, right? So you can use a template set up when it gets distributed. Where in this case right now, we're only supporting Excel, but like I said, we'll have other formats like HTML and PowerPoint and so on going forward. And then you can distribute and schedule these reports. And also coming along with this will be automation blocks, which will give you more options around report distribution. All right, so I think we're out of time, but I'll send through this deck. There's a lot of different streams in which we work on, and I've only touched on two, which I thought would be interesting to most of the audience, but you'll see a lot of this flowing through. If you want to find out more, there's just one website you can start with, qlik.com/roadmap.
Thank you, Nabil. That looks amazing, I would say. It is great, and it looks like reporting capabilities in Qlik Cloud can replace now in printing almost completely. So yeah, it looks really good. Thank you.
Thank you. Cheers.
Pardon me? Yes.
The aim is to replace in printing.
The thing is, and printing is not available for Qlik Cloud. That's why it is in Qlik Cloud they've got reporting service as such. So
we have a couple of customers who have placed or in the process of replacing and printing with reports.
Okay. We're using Windows Enterprise or on the cloud?
On cloud. On the cloud.
Yeah. So depends on how complicated your reports are in printing.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it looks really good. Any questions? Last questions? No? Okay. Thank you very much, Nabil. That was great to see. Thanks for sharing. So now I think it's over to Craig. Craig, I'll just switch to your presentation and we would be able to proceed. Okay, that's yours. Just click on that. Yes.
Hello. So today's talk is going to be on a project that's still running at Western Power, and that is to do an upgrade. And you think, oh, zip-de-doo. Well, for us, it's actually a pretty big deal. So let me do a page. Yeah.
Sometimes it has delay.
Yeah, okay. Oh, a long delay. So the key project outcomes for our upgrade projects. The primary one is that we were currently on February 2021, and that's gone out of vendor support. So we have a policy that all of our software needs to be vendor supported. So that pretty much means, hey, you have to go and upgrade, which is good. We're using this project to set up a whole bunch of new environments, and we ended up with 27 Windows Server 2022 virtual machines. Pretty much all of those machines have got 96 gigabytes of memory. So when you add up all of that, it's a lot of virtual machines and a lot of memory and a lot of CPU cores. And the way that we're going to be running this project is to do what we call a big bang. So we'll upgrade our dev environment and then transfer all of the apps and tasks and so on across from the old dev and shut down the old one. Stand up the test environment, which is where we do all of our development work, and move across all of the apps and tasks and so on from that, and then do the same for prod. So we're not going to be running anything in parallel. So testing and so on is pretty important to make sure that they work before we turn the old one off. Now, I don't know about your installations, but in our area, we have many apps, connectors, tasks, etc., that we don't need anymore.
I think it's
Understanding, yes. That's enough, Jesus. So it's time to clean out the rubbish. So we use these upgrades to, sort of crack with, come on, people, if you've got stuff that you don't need, clean it out. Also, I'm sure you're aware there's these things called unsupported extensions. So these are extensions that are not guaranteed by Qlik to run in any new upgraded environment. You can download these from places like GitHub, install them and run them. But if you do an upgrade, it's not guaranteed they're going to work. Also, in this version that we're going to, the May 23, widgets are no longer supported. So anything that currently uses a widget, that obviously won't render, so that needs to be mitigated. And as we've just seen from the past presentation, there's a whole bunch of new functions and features. So we want to be able to socialize that with our developer community so they can take advantage of all of these improvements. So they are sort of the key outcomes that we're looking for. So one of my tasks was to go back through all of the release notes since February 21. A task that I really enjoy, to go and find out what's new since Feb 21 up until May 23. And I'd say that it's sort of evolutionary rather than revolutionary, which is as you would expect for a product like Qlik, which is in its it's a mature product now. So you don't expect hugely different bolts of thunder from the heavens above when you look at the new version. But getting back to our past the previous presentation, one of the issues that we have is, well, how do you show those things? And that's why I'm very keen to get those demo apps so that we can use those to for developers to go and look, okay, when you have this new feature, what does it look like? Look, we have a demo app. Because I was going to go and build such things myself, but if they're already there, let's go use that. But basically, the look and feel is pretty much the same. There's some really nice new features, and they will help us to build better apps. So coming back to this spring clean, we sent out emails and asked people, be ruthless, get rid of all of that rubbish out of your personal workspaces and so on. We have about 8,500 apps in test and 1,400 in prod.
That was 1,800.
It was originally. Now, I can safely say that people have completely ignored that. So asking nicely, just not working. We need to be ruthless about this. So we've started off a piece of work to go and try and automate this process of firstly taking a copy of an app and then deleting it out of the system. So we're going to be using PowerShell scripts with the CLI APIs to go and find apps of interest. So an example there is something that's not in Platform Manager, which is our version control software that we use. It's in someone's personal workspace for more than 3 months, but they've left the organization. So really, it's for someone who's no longer here. Well, that's a candidate. Get it out of here. We did have a safeguard there to have what we call an exclusions list. So it could be that if we go through these apps of interest, oh no, we still want to keep that one, please don't archive it. So just look up an exclusions list. If it's in there, don't archive it. Take a copy without data, including your community personal sheets, and copy it into a shared folder, and then delete it. So we're hoping to run this sort of process every month. So keep your environment lean and clean so that it will run faster. Okay, unsupported extensions. Now, this is a really difficult balancing act because unsupported extensions do provide some really useful functionality over and above the base charts and the supported extensions provided by Qlik. Or if you do buy a library like Vizlib, then you know that they are going to be supported through version upgrades. And the end users like them. So they're good, they're useful. But, and you knew there was a but, you run the risk that at some future time, they will cease to work when we do an upgrade. And therefore, they need to be either replaced with something else that does work or removed altogether from your apps. So you need to balance that benefit that you get to the downside of losing them. And we did find a number of them that no longer started to work. So what we did is we used the telemetry app to go through all of our production environment. And I don't know if people in the audience know anything about the telemetry app. It's a really, really useful utility that basically scours through your environment and pulls out all sorts of details about the apps that you have. And with that, we could figure out which apps used which extensions. And because we had our list of extensions, we could tell, therefore, which ones were supported and which ones weren't. And also, it could tell us whether or not it used a widget, in which case we know that we need to go and do something with that app to rectify that. So a great piece of work done by Henry, who's on the call, Henry Zhu, to get that information. Just be aware that it can take a little while to run, especially when we try to run it in tests. Prod wasn't so bad, but it took a while. So we use that to identify the unsupported extensions. We then, when checked those by pulling them down into our dev, our sandbox environment, which had been upgraded, and just see if they render. And we found 3 that didn't. So QS custom report, click Venn diagram, and this clever word cloud, they don't work anymore. The last 2, big deal, hardly used at all. But the QS custom report was actually something that we do use quite widely. And if you go into GitHub, it actually says in big, bold, capital letters, this extension is no longer supported. So that's a pretty good indication that maybe you should move off it. So the straight table extension that was in our previous presentation, you can use that as a replacement, but you do lose quite a bit of functionality. And there is another very similar extension from Climber called Climber Customer Report that's pretty much the same, and that's actually been bought out by Vizlib, and in the future we would be able to use that. So if you've got all of these extensions, and you know, hey, we want to try and transition off of these, well, where are you going to go? What's the alternative? So for each of the extensions, we went through and said, okay, what can we replace it with? Is it 100% replacement, or is it sort of marginal? But there were some extensions where we just couldn't find a replacement. And the example that we've got here is this dynamic HTML iframe. So that was an extension that we have used quite extensively across a number of apps, and we at the moment don't have any alternative. And if we took it away, there's quite a bit of functionality there. You would hear the screams from our end users from Melbourne. So you do have that situation where, even though we do want to move off of unsupported extensions, if you've got nothing to move to, you've got a problem. And especially if it's the end users like it and it's very useful, then you're kind of stuck. So we sort of have to wear that risk. So given all of that work, and it was a lot of work to put all that together, We then put that out to our developer community and say, hey, look, if you've got all these apps, we need you to go and start modifying them so that they're going to work in the new version. The feedback that we got was, no way. We're not going to be able to do that in the time frame that you have for the project. So we decided in our infinite wisdom that we would take the tactical strategy of saying, for the moment, we will allow these unsupported extensions. You're heckling, come on. Knowing full well that they work in the new environment. And then we will transition off of them over the next months, assuming that we have a viable alternative. So I think the lesson for us and for other people who have Qlik environments is you really do have to listen to your developers, and they in turn will listen to their customers. Be practical, but have a clear long-term strategic direction. Now, the kicker is that last bit, follow through. So one of the things that we have to do as people who are managing our Qlik environment is to make sure that the for the moment doesn't become forever, right? We have to apply that rigor to make sure that when we say we want to transition off these unsupported extensions, we actually do transition off the unsupported extensions. Now, a key component of any project along these lines is communication. Now, the project communications has been difficult because there's been quite a few unknowns that have popped up and some gotchas, and so the timeline has sort of slipped. So it's, again, another balancing act. You don't want to sort of bombard your community with 1,000,001 emails and say, oh, this is what's happening. Oops, no, it's not. This is what's happening. No, that's not either. So it's getting that balance between how much information you put out there versus you've got to keep them informed. So as always, with any project, but this one in particular, communication. It's really important that we get that message out. So the lesson is, communicate the information you have at hand, but be aware of overloading people. Otherwise, they just switch off. So where are we today? It's been a bit of a rocky path so far. There's been some technical issues that we've had to work through, so we're not done yet. We are on track to get all of this done in dev, test and prod before the end of the year and to shut down the old environments. But where the project's really going to start kicking off is in phase 2. And what that is to develop and implement a whole new business intelligence operating model. And that's the bit that is going to really start to make the whole Qlik environment zing along, because we're basically going to go blank sheet. This is what we've done in the past. What do we want to do now that's going to make it much more efficient, much more effective? So we're sort of having a Qlik 2. It's the sequel. So hopefully and we will also be looking at using the cloud, and that the reporting tasks all becomes very nice to know. So it's sort of a reset, so that when people come in and look at our Qlik environment, they'll go, yeah, okay, you've really thought about it. It's humming along, it's well designed, it's efficient, it's effective. So that phase 2 is something to look out for, and probably I'll give you an update on how that's going. Other than that, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Craig. Thanks for sharing. It was, it is definitely a rocky path. I also work in it with you a little bit here and there. So, but now we've got the next presentation from Infinity, from Paulo and Guilherme. And just because we don't have too much time, we won't ask Qlik any questions. So all questions afterwards. Yes. Yeah. So Paulo, are you ready to take over? Over to you.
Yes, I am. Thank you, Sergey. Hi, guys. Good afternoon on your side. Good morning on my side. So Inphinity, in a nutshell, we are a extension company. We are a Qlik technology partner. So some of the concerns that the previous speaker was talking about, extensions not working, are less likely to happen with us because we are a Qlik technology partner. And a added fact to that is that Qlik themselves also use Inphinity internally. Very simply, Inphinity is a suite of products, if I can put it that way. It has got 3 capabilities. The one capability is inputs, so you're able to input data into QlikSense. You're able to do commentary, so it works like a Facebook thread where you can write comments and people can respond to it. The second capability is a product called Flow that allows you to analyze process flows, build process flows, identify flows, how they have an impact on each other, etc. And lastly, we have Mole, which allows you to analyze unstructured data. You can bring in data from a PDF document, from Word documents. You can even bring in text that are in a JPEG format, and you can analyze data in that format as well. That being said, we have got short time. We're not going to do death by PowerPoint. So I'm going to hand over to Guilherme, and he's going to start actually showing you the product. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Paulo. Hello, guys. Great to be here. Let me start by sharing my screen, and I will divide the time in 2 parts. Okay, first showing the product, and then a very quick demo of how it works behind the scenes. Right. So as Paulo said, Inphinity is an extension. We have forms. That's what I'm gonna start with. So as you can see, we have here a Qlik app, and I can just select the charts, the dimension, and everything else. But what is really interesting here is that we can just click here and add the fields. So for example, I would change this 180,000 in Black Friday to any other number. It could be maybe 2 million, for example. When I click save, you'll see that in not more than 2 seconds, we already have the values here. So basically that's what we do. We can write back into the database, and this could be a QVD, an XML file, or even SQL databases, okay? In this case, we are at an on-premise environment, but this also works in cloud. I'm going to show you in some seconds. And the most common use case for this capability is for budgeting and planning processes, okay? So in this other app that I have here, we have a better understanding of what is possible. So let's say that you have an app that you need to plan things. So instead of having multiple spreadsheets with your teams and later have to consolidate all of that, we can centralize everything in Qlik. So the users can come here to the dashboard, change the values directly in here, just click save, and everyone will have access to the same data, and the charts will be updated with that and so on. So you just centralize everything. And what is very important is that we can keep track of when this was last edited and who did the changes, okay? This also works with Qlik, just like any other Qlik thing. So you can apply section access, you can apply formulas and things like that. So if I filter one product here, for example, or 2 products, 2 products or whatever, I can just use Qlik. I can export this to Excel. And some people like to work in Excel. So if that's the case, you can just do everything in Excel. Let me just, where is it? Oh, here it is. And if you want to change the values here, For example, I will just do some random between 100 and 1000. Copy these across, and now I will just copy and paste it back. Okay, so this also works here in our tables. So the values are here. When we see this little black dot, it means that it's not saved. So I can just come here and click save. We can create custom buttons here on the top with certain actions to change the value of variables and things like that. And another point that is very important is that we can collaborate with other users. So I have here another user logged in my second screen, and I will start editing this first row here, okay? And you'll see that for this current user, now I can't edit because the other user is already changing this first row. Now, if the same user is, or another user is changing the third row, the row will be blocked for the others. So you don't have this competition of records. And if I click save now in the other screen, you will see that February here will change. So 1, 2, 3. There we go. Just click there, and now it's released. So I can go back and change the records again. We can also apply some rules to block the fields and block the cells like this. We have automatic calculations. So as I start typing here in Q4, you can see that the target total will also change as I do that. And if I want to update and approve this, for example, to lock this cell, I just click here in update. It will reload the app. And I don't have to be a developer user for that. I can, like, it also works for analyzers. And like in some seconds, people can't change this anymore because I approved. And the values in the dashboards are also updated. Okay. Same thing for cloud. But a very good advantage is that we can take, actually a very good thing that is that we can take advantage of the automation process. So I have a very similar app here, but I can hide or display the fields. Like I have this lock column with some rows blocked. But if I'm the director or a manager, I can see that column, for example. We have pop-ups in case you want to display things in here and interact with it. And here I will just trigger an automation process to send a report with the charts. Okay, so I have a dashboard. I can update my figures, just click save and send an updated report to anyone. So if I click here and send report, I can define the recipient, and this will trigger the automation with everything that is needed. As Paulo mentioned, we also have commentary. So if I want to start a conversation inside the dashboard, I can do that. I can add snapshots. So let's say that I want to come here, create a snapshot, just call it ABC for now. Go back here, create a new comment, and add that specific snapshot in here with some comments like, please analyze this later. Click save. It will also save the selections. Okay. And since we don't have a lot of time, I will just move now to flow because I want to show you the back part, the behind the scenes, how easy it is. So this is flow, which is a chart that basically facilitates the visualization of flows and processes. So in this case, we have here incident reported, validity check. We can see all the process, how it was supposed to be, how it was defined at the beginning. We can compare that with the real process, considering that we have this kind of data. Okay, so this is coming from systems. We only need 2 columns, basically, a from and to node. So we can define that this is the from and this is the to. And we have some deviations, so things that were not supposed to happen. And if we click here, we can just look at the deviations and analyze what was going on. Okay, this is one example. We have a real use case here in this other example. Okay, so this is a manufacturing process of a plastic factory, and they wanted to analyze the machines. So how much was being produced, wasted, and consumed between the processes. So they started using Flow for that. Everything in here is a real measure. So if they just click update, it will update with the last records. I can use the filters. I can define some actions for these buttons. So in this case, it will just filter some things, but we can define specific actions and show more details in case we want to look at more information inside these nodes. Okay, and this is all coming from the data model. Another way to visualize data. Very good for processes. And the third product is Mo. Okay. And let me quickly show you here.
Yeah, so ITD
we have this
here in that.
We have this app here with recruitment process. So the first part here is forms. We can display the records like this, change everything in here. So we have different types of fields, not only the numbers as we saw in the other app. We can have texts, we have drop downs, sliders, and other types of fields, and even uploads. We can upload files in here, okay? So what's very interesting is that in this app, we are uploading files and we are using Mo to read these files and put that in the data model, put the words in the data model. So I can kind of Google what is in here, even if they are doc files, PDFs, and everything else. So if I click here in Samantha's CV, I will download it and I can look for the words. So let's say that I'm looking for someone who has, for example, HTML as a skill. So I can come here and type HTML. It will show me that these three candidates have that word in the CV. Someone came here and deleted, but it's still in the data model. So I can open these documents. I can better understand. So let's say that you have a folder with 10,000 documents. It's much easier to have everything stored in Qlik and just look for the ID of the company or look for the name of the person that you're looking at. So you just come here, look at that. So basically, Mo is a connector, okay? And I know we're short in time, so let me just switch back very quickly here to my demo environment to go back to forms, and we can go to questions after the session, maybe. So I have an app here, very simple, okay? One table here and the load script inline, so country, product, and sales. Let's say that we want to edit some values. So I'll just copy and paste the table in here and convert that to an Infinity object. So I have here forms general. I'll just click here, convert into forms general. I have the dimensions, country, product, and sales, which is the measure. And now I will start adding editable fields. Okay, so I will add, let's say that we want to project 2024. We can define the type of the field. In this case, I will just put that as a number. And 2025. Okay. Now I will create a database to store these files, to store these records. Okay. And to do that, I have an app, which is the Forms admin. I can quickly come here, go to Forms configuration, and create a new form. And I can select if I want that as an XML, SQL, or QVD. So I will just write in QVD because it's easier. So this will be WA user group, which is the instance ID, and the name of my file will be the same thing, but .qvd. Click Save, go back here, form instance ID, just replace that for the instance. And now I can start saving the records. So if I add something here, like from 150, I want to go to 200 and then 250, I can click Save. And now I have a QVD with that record. I have here WA user group. Here's my key, which is the dimension, where's the country, and then the product, Australia and bike. And the records are here, 2025 and 2024, okay? With that, we can start playing with it and just add these records to Qlik, right? So we have a button here to reload the app. So I'll just quickly put it in here, go back to the script, load that QVD back into the data model, okay? I'll just switch here the path. This is not the name of my connection, sorry about that. Just quickly put it back here. Find my QED. And now we should be good to go. Yeah. Now I can start adding these values in the charts. So let's say that I want to project, for example, the aggregation of these values, 2024 and 2025, maybe per country. So for now, I only have Australia, but if I add something here in Brazil, like 150, just click here, and there we go. Here I have the results. Now if I add something here, like 200, and then 500 here, same thing for the USA. Just click and recalculate, and we can start playing with it. So it's this simple. Now I have new records in my QVD, and I can use Qlik to model the data and just put it back in the dashboard. Okay. Well, I think with the time we have, maybe if we have any questions, I don't know if I still have some minutes, but we can talk later if you prefer, because I know Sergey also has a presentation.
Yes.
And thanks for that.
Thank you very much, Guilherme. That was a great presentation. I think everyone appreciates how simple it is to use forms. So any questions? Any questions from our online participants? Not yet. I think we will come back to this, Guilherme. Thank you very much. Thank you, Paulo. Thank you, Guilherme. That's very nice for you to join us, especially with our time difference. We know that you are in Brazil and in South Africa. So I have a presentation for 5 minutes. So I hope to run it really quickly, and then we can have drinks. Yeah. Everybody online, welcome to join. At least those who can travel fast enough to here. So where is my presentation? Sharing my screen. Yeah, that's me for now. And today I'm going to talk about outer sets. So you like Western Power recently upgraded in the process of upgrading of environment, and you are getting the this outer sets capability with your new version. And in Qlik Cloud, it's been available for quite a while. So today I just want to share how it can be used. What are the benefits? So basically, I used a couple of various sources to come up with a good presentation. And Hick, you probably know him very well. His former employee, I actually was really surprised to see the status in community as former employee. I think that's the only one person, I never seen it before. And he says that set analysis is one of the most powerful, more powerful tools you can use in Qlik Sense and Qlik View. Its syntax is sometimes perceived as complicated, but once you learn it, you can achieve fantastic things, and it's true. There is now an additional way of writing the set expression that may simplify your code, and it actually does. So basically, historically, how I expect everyone uses set analysis. If you don't, you can leave.
You're no longer.
No, I'm joking, but so I hope you do. So, however, it might get quite complex if you use several expressions and you need to repeat it several times, like in my screenshot here, when you apply just 1 year, but in 2 expressions, or the same set analysis expression. It becomes even more interesting when you start using AGGR, because now you need to place your set analysis in different places, and yeah, it's getting hard, especially when you another fact, you can't use it really with master measures, because as long as you defined master measure, you couldn't modify it. So, and that's why you would have multiple of those for months to date, quarter to date, year to date, and variety of those that usually really complicate things. However, new way is slightly different. So basically, you can have some expression and put set analysis in front of it. So what it means that in a second example, you specified your set analysis once, and then you use your expression, one minus another. With AGGR, it works the same way. You just put it in front, and it applies for the whole thing. I put the old. Oops. By some reason, can you see my screen online, guys? Because by some reason we're having some issues. Yes, you can. Because we're having problems with the laptop here. By some reason, it's not showing anything. Is it connected? Yep. Carry on. So Craig is trying to fix the things for all participants who joined us in person. But okay, let's give him 30 seconds. Sorry for that. It's lost its internet connection. No internet, it says. You can try mine, but yeah, it will take time. Connected, secure, try to rejoin. Yes, we can admit you, Craig. So now we are back online, and now I just wanted to show how it can be used with your master measures, because now instead of just maybe mute yourself. So basically, you can use one expression minus one measure minus another measure, put set analysis in front, and it works. So it looks much simpler, isn't it? Yep. So and the thing is that it can be actually nested. So you can. This is an example of a higher level measure lost time injury frequency rate, which have, as you can see, two measures one divided by another, with some set analysis coded in variables, and then it uses the R12 rolling 12 average KPI is defined like that. And uses new events measure that is defined in this way, and basically everything is defined in the variable. So you can nest things quite easily, and in this case you don't need to repeat yourself. So one important thing to note: the brackets they make the difference, because when you apply this set analysis here, it applies only to the brackets. Where brackets are defined. So what next? Couple of things to note. One thing that I just mentioned, brackets. Another thing that you can have two sets, inner set and outer set. And oops. The important thing here is how you define it, because if you're defining the same thing twice, as I do here, only internal one will actually work. External will be ignored. So, however, if you define it in the way that it is like with this plus here, it actually combines two sets together. So it requires a bit of practicing, but it works pretty well. So another thing that is worth noting, if you ever define set as $01 internally, basically it will disable your outer set completely. We faced this like with our variables framework, we faced this thing a lot because we had to remove this $sign from internal sets, while I always thought it would be great to have it because it defines it really very clearly. Anyway, so the last comment is from previous presentation. Sorry for that. I will fix it. So any questions? Yeah, you have to play. I understand that. Yep.
When you are looking at the expression
Yes.
and it shows you the expression.
Yes. You will see only measures. You won't see what's inside of it. So with measures, you will see only this. With variables, you can see whatever you want to see. I mean, it can be expanded to the lowest level. But I can tell you, using measures and nested measures is quite powerful and quite convenient. So yeah, when you debug, and it's a little bit harder because when you want to get like here to the end of it, and yeah, you need to go into each of them. So, but it's life. It's still convenient though.
So it's really, you want some variation of it.
Yes, correct. You want to apply a category, or you want to exclude some things, or you can use it for FYTD. Like in this case, we needed to do it rolling 12 months. So, and the events could be, in this instance, injury, incidents, or hazards, or actions. So that's why it was useful in this particular instance. Anything else? Great. Anyone, any questions from online participants? I'll stop sharing. Thank you, Henry. So let me then switch to, oops, where I am. Let me switch to my agenda. We finished, networking is almost coming. As I promised, it was only 5 minutes. So one thing to say, that was the last one, last meeting of this year. But if you'd like to participate in the next one and would like to share something, you're always welcome. Just contact me and it will be all organized. Can be anything, technical or user experience. That's all finished. We will come up with a new schedule for the next year. And committee members, as usual, on the screen. So if you need to contact anyone, please contact. So any questions and feedback, welcome. But I think we will continue just downstairs with drinks and networking. Thank you very much for joining.
Thanks, okay. Thanks, everyone. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you everyone who joined us online, and especially from overseas. Great, stop sharing.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, thank you, Royce.
Zoom.